Hello, YouTube. Thank you for joining me. I hope sunshine is present within your internal world, and I am grateful to spend time with you. This video was originally made during the summer of 2012. The cognitive content still represents my current position. I thought it best to tackle this during Black History Month. So, I was going to release it, but later in the month. However, I have a subscriber who recently produced a video that essentially addresses a significant portion of this video. He was interested on my take of his work. Though this does not directly address it, it is why it is being released now. I will attach this to my former video regarding related subject matter. It is my hope it will add greater dimension to my characteristic mental attitude regarding this topic. I will place a link to my subscriber's video below. The video is unscripted, but has been edited to remove excessive gaps of time, which provided me opportunity to ponder my thoughts. I am a product of parents who were directly involved in the day-to-day realities of Jim Crow. I have had the opportunity to literally speak to hundreds of blacks and whites who were adults or in their teens during the time of the final days of this era. Majority of the blacks believed, based on their experience, that the current state of racial relations in this country is approaching at varying speeds the former reality, though they were unsure if it would publicly resurface as before. Most within this group do not see this as an exact reproduction, but red flags are present. What they share is more insidious than that. The politically motivated among them have shared it is unlikely this will manifest as before due to 1. The hurdles of the marketplace by route of public relations. 2. The need for sophisticated systematic means. 3. More penetrating tactics would be required for the former reality to be an overlay on this one. Or 4. The difficulty in finding a seasoning which would allow it to be digestible for white middle class consumption. No matter what combination of actions was selected, it would all need to operate so one's dirty work had shelter, where a state of denial still would be plausible. All of them reasoned the climate, economically, socially, and legally, are becoming worse in this country. Granted, they saw this disproportionately worse for black people. Most of these conversations, by the way, were over a decade ago. I have had some follow-up conversations, and what I have found has been a similar prediction. However, there was great concern in regards to the increase in various realities that seemed to be working against blacks, whether they were internal realities or external influences, all within the areas that were mentioned earlier. All of the people that I had spoken with, by the way, appeared very well acquainted with the forceful consequence directly connected to the dehumanization of discrimination. They are frightened that the youth are not motivated to stand guard, or will not succeed where they have failed. This considered, we see complexities in today's world which can easily obscure the true coordinates of our problems and the possible analysis into clear-cut components. This said, my video is not meant to function as a cathartic release. I am always trying to find means of surmounting or circumventing that which allows hegemonic obstacles immunity, even if these obstacles are assumptions. This is one hell of a subject to broach. Many are looking for any way to defend their position. Rarely will they take the opportunity to dispassionately absorb various sides. All of the typical traps are set, ready to be explored before any discussion is had. Gays calling blacks homophobic and hypocrites. Blacks calling gays racist and opportunist. So, many are willing to pit against each other a victim mentality This is not to deny that there may be germs of truth in what they present on an individual level. Now, let's be upfront. It is common to see groups co-opt another group's struggle. We see it quite frequently these days. One reason is to draw comparisons in hopes that they can achieve political or economic gains for their group by piggybacking on others. In my opinion, it is a vile maneuver. Let's move a little left now. It can be truthfully said that the influence of Christianity, which has been heavy upon blacks in America, is present in many blacks' decisions as it relates to homosexuality. Maybe the qualifier of many is inaccurate, let's say some. However, not every black that opposes gay marriage is the result of biblical indoctrination. Yes, I am familiar with Leviticus chapter 20, verse 13. For those of you who are not, I will try to quote it correctly. Quote, "If a man also lie with mankind, as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them." End quote. However, belief in this is not needed to oppose gay marriage. No matter what, there will be some black Christians who will state it is okay to fight against man for rights, but if God reportedly condemns another for a specific action that they determine to be inappropriate, well, case closed. I say, leave these sorts behind you. They have a right to their worldview, but contending with them, if not needed, will just poison the environment. Let's face it, traditional marriage is not going to suffer due to the acknowledgement of what others call an alternative lifestyle. Nor is opposition due to some personal engagement and opposing force which exists on a sexually oriented battlefield. Outside of the popular detours, some merely have values that encourage them to fashion their stand. However, for those who are Christian and black, I do find it hypocritical that they would embrace a path that does not honor compassion and love. Too many times we have been left out in the cold. So it improves your position and world to mimic the actions of participants in former or current authoritarian actualities. Mind you, they are not phonies for judging. The teachings of Jesus, for example, frequently provided occurrences where he distinguished between right and wrong via a cognitive process. My issue arises when the Bible is used as justification to restrict gays from the opportunity of having acknowledgement under the law, the legal perks of being married. There is a distinction between using the civil rights movement as it directly relates to the black struggle as inspiration, via pointing to similarities, versus the vastly different option of equating the two. We see conflation used as the handy means of dominating the relation of one very prominent modern similarity, in my opinion. This would be the struggle against the mindset that openly dwells within those who have subscribed to the right-wing neoliberalism. I do honor that the denial of just treatment is damaging to the fabric of justice, no matter who we are speaking about. I know this may not sit well with some of you. Do as you will, but cherry picking when applying your conscience and reason in order to dictate what is fair is appropriate? Not for me. Consistency brings stability and progress in the fight against discrimination. Now, I have heard some gays that infrequently promote the slogan, "Gay is the new black." I think of it more as a cultural unit. I have heard some say we do not need to have gays suffer the same atrocities that blacks have in America in order to prove the value of their unique struggle as gays. They would be absolutely correct. my advice, do not be afraid to point out valid comparisons. Do so without substituting the existence of your unique path with that of Black Americans. Now, I know this can get fuzzy for those who are Black and gay. This I may address at a later time. I would go so far to say that this oversimplistic course is potentially disastrous to the LGBT community. I guess I do not understand how conflation would serve you in the long run. Outside of it being a crummy determination, it appears it would lead to an attack, probably from malicious intent. Nevertheless, an attack on the legitimate violations regarding fundamental freedoms, or bring additional energetic thought soldiers willing to diminish the need of legal perks, ones which should exist from the participation in the legal acknowledgement of an intimate union. Now, the civil rights movement was not just one man, though misguided people believe so. Also, there were plenty of whites and blacks that did not stand with Martin when he was alive. Now, everyone has a story of someone they knew who marched with him. Many on both sides thought he was a troublemaker, a communist sympathizer, etc. Powerful people in the government did not like him, obviously. He is mostly pimped today, not because these people or the ones who followed them had a change of heart, but because he is dead. Remember, the media and powerful whites put him forward as the main voice of the movement. This was probably due to initially seeing him as manageable and docile. However, we cannot deny that he was an integral part of the movement. Likewise, so was his wife, Mrs. Coretta Scott King. She saw the gays' struggle as a civil rights issue. This is not the same as equating it to the former or modern black struggles that exist. I, like her, do believe that constitutional amendments should be used to expand, not constrict, freedom. This said, let's employ this as a segue, an opportunity for the purpose of providing clarity. Clarity needed regarding one point I made in my former video about this subject. I acknowledge the families that are constructed by gay unions. First, I think civil unions should be acknowledged in all states and the federal government. We need to have some uniformity here. Their families should indeed have legal protection under such union. Marriages, by their nature, are set up as a man and woman coupling. We should not force a church to adhere to going against their principles. This is not what the rule of law should be about. This should not, however, prevent gays from forming domestic partnerships or civil unions, which allows them to enjoy the same legal perks that traditional heterosexual couples do. I would like to see the popular claim that blacks are anti-gay crushed. This is yet another oversimplification. Rational minds know that sweeping generalizations are lies. This does not eliminate their power to influence. If all blacks were homophobic, or if the majority of blacks were homophobic, then why did Michael Crawford imply differently? Humankind will never cease to amaze me in how they will pander to fallacious thinking when it suits them. Look, the fact of the matter is, there can be evidence which objectively shows a certain group to be this way or that way. But when we are dealing with political issues, majority of the time you will find when these types of statements are made, they are mind dependent. Again, mind dependent. Let's stop here and make clear this is no appeal to authority. I do not have to justify my outlook by citing a source of expertise as a reason for holding my idea. Others do not necessarily know better than we do. However, this man has a special competence for the matter at hand. At least this should be enough reason to consider his comments without prematurely shutting it down because you think I have resorted to fallacious thinking. I think he should have some insight, being he was the leader at that time of a pro-same-sex union, DC for marriage. He is also black. He stated, quote, "In DC, outreach to African Americans wasn't part of the campaign, it was the campaign," end quote. It appears one of the foundational issues that exist is the growing number of blacks who feels that gays are using them when convenient, yet have little interest in standing in solidarity when tackling their issues. I have to say, I see truth, much truth in this, especially when examining the controversy which surrounded the unfair blaming of black voters for pushing the California measure against gay marriage to succeed. Once blacks were seen as supposedly not supporting gay interests, the talons came out, the angry voices were raised, and some very damaging statements went on record. Unfortunately, for the gay community, some blacks have very accurate, long memories. However, even if true, the gay community appeared to forget that lawmakers, not its voters, legalized gay marriage in DC. If my data is correct, 5 blacks of the 13-member council supported it. In fairness, I will also note that 2 blacks opposed it. These were reportedly from primarily black districts. Another thing that seems to be brought up when discussing this, when discussing the fact that blacks appear to be homophobic or that they did not or will not support gay interests, have you ever considered that there is a distinction within the minds of certain blacks? That maybe they see supporting you when it comes to you being treated as a human quite differently than supporting you when it comes to you participating within the Christian nuptial ceremony. Also, let it be known, and this I will not address further, that a discerning eye is turned on the gay lobby. I know as a black man that I do not personally appreciate what has appeared in the past to be a co-opting of the black civil rights struggle by them. Now understand that I know racially bigoted people exist in the homosexual neighborhood. They have vile people in their group as others do. Also, I personally know some black individuals that are prejudiced against homosexual people. So, neither group is without its undesirables. However, for the rational people in both camps, it would, in my opinion, be best to rid ourselves of dividing slogans or cultural units. But I must admit, as gays have reportedly stated that blacks are homophobic, blacks have reported that gays really do not give a shit about them and have proven it throughout the years. And as I examine evidence of these claims, I unfortunately see a lot of truth in that. And I don't want to get into the specifics right now. I am not interested in pointing fingers. I am interested in presenting the truth as I understand it. We need to support, meaning rational people on both sides of the fence. We need to support a fundamental shift based on fairness regarding economic and political justice. Now, I am not going to say that unity is more important than morals. You have to do what you need to do. However, we are wasting time as the elite and their servile fawning dependents act to re-enslave via means that do not require chains and re-indenture any from the outgroup. The objective to consider: creation and maintenance of unity. Unity that will not quickly dissipate once one group feels their needs are satisfied. Unity that will not quickly dissipate when reports that are made by the media, who has a vested interest in breaking up any and every group so that its masters can be served, well, when those realities surface, we need to turn a discerning eye to them, not turn on each other. An objective that solidifies our non-waning stand against injustice and for certain types of intolerance that encourages us to make fellow humans objects for our employment. We would serve our interest and each other if we allow others to show us who they are and give them space to grow. Mind you, I will not support any gay person or group who degrades blacks, nor would I support a black person or group who levels hatred for that which you did not directly do to them, but towards your very existence. So understand this, no matter who you are listening out there, any bigotry that gives one permission to dehumanize a group and to diminish or deny their personhood, dignity, or humanity is my enemy, no matter what the historical records state. Many of us have given lip service to putting the brakes on violence and repression. How many of you will forever refuse to take the oppressor's role and consistently do what is right? Not what is necessarily right for your group interest, but is right. Thank you for your time.